Nationwide, the average monthly income for an elderly household falls more than $5,000 short. In New York City, 11.6% of our older population lives in poverty. Citymeals-on-Wheels, which has been feeding older New Yorkers since 1981, works with community-based meal centers to deliver more than 2 million weekend, holiday, and emergency meals to more than 18,000 elderly clients. Around 5,200 of these recipients live in Brooklyn, and last year City Meals delivered more than 500,000 meals in Brooklyn, 504,517 to be exact.
Well, to be sure, one of the busiest holidays of the year is closing in on us, and to give us some insight of what they've planned for Thanksgiving and how those in need can get access to this help, we want to welcome Beth Shapiro. She's City Meals Executive Director.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Ronnie Tishkevich, one of the City Meals volunteers who, after losing his wife to cancer and retiring from his job as a police officer, decided that he wanted to give back. And that he does. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Welcome. Beth, a lot of us are familiar with City Meals, but for those of us that don't know, refresh our audience. What does it do? What's the mission, especially here in Brooklyn?
Sure. So City Meals was founded, as you said, 34 years ago, actually, Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh,
yes. Our founder, Gail Green, was reading an happy anniversary, almost, was reading an article in the New York Times about homebound elderly going 4 days without food because the city-funded program delivered meals Monday through Friday, as long as there was no holiday. But then you look at Thanksgiving, and city government, as many other entities, are closed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. She is a renowned restaurant critic and called friends in that world, in the restaurant community, and raised $35,000, called the city, the Department for the Aging, and said, we'll do Christmas. They were feeding 6,000 people. That was the next holiday. She figured, let's figure it out. Since then, last December, we delivered our 50 millionth meal, and we fill the gap. So we deliver about 2 million meals annually, now to 18,000 people, over 5,000 of which are in Brooklyn, as you said. And we're making sure they get food, a meal delivered to the door every day of the year. And then some. And then volunteer services and things.
You said the and then some. That opens up the door for Ronnie because the meal is just the point of entry. There's so much more that happens when you're delivering food.
Well, I do a lot more than give them meals. I try to make them laugh, give them entertainment. One of the guys I visit now is like legally blind, so I read his mail. The other guy can't walk, so I take him outside. He has a power chair. And I try to give these people some company. Some of these people have relatives, and they don't call them. They're in their apartment all day, all year long, and I find it a joy to come over and visit them. And as you mentioned about my past, when I first started, my wife passed away. I'm going to start crying, but
we all will soon. Go for it. Let's just go for it.
Whatever I mention. Well, anyway, I retired. I was a cop for 27 years with the U.S. Park Police, and I had an apartment, had a car. I said, I want to give something back. So I, sure enough, in the mail, I get a letter. Come visit these people who need someone. And the one thing I didn't want to do was go back to a hospital or nursing home because my wife had cancer, and I was doing that for 2 years. So sure enough, God gave me my wishes, and there's a letter from Meals on Wheels. Come visit people in their apartments. And I started it, but listen, I started it just to give something back. But after I visit these seniors, and they come over to me after the visit, oh, Ronnie, thank you so much. I actually couldn't wait to come back to them. And, you know, I went to the heart the way it's supposed to be. I'll admit, at the beginning, I just wanted to give back. What do I owe you? But now I look forward to seeing them. And every visitor I visit, when I leave their house, and I'm usually around 2 or 3 years before something happens, they all thank me and are appreciative. And it's hard to describe the feeling when you leave it.
Absolutely. Well, Beth, so we know that the elderly are the poorest sector in New York City right now, and they are growing exponentially right now. We're living longer. What can City Meals do, or what is City Meals doing to prepare for this, or kind of to do what they can, really?
Sure. So 34 years ago, we were feeding 6,000 people. Today, we're feeding 18,000. As you said, seniors are the fastest growing population in this city. By 2030, older people will outnumber children for the first time in history, ever. In this city. And we need to meet that need. This year, we're planning that we'll be adding another 5% new meal recipients to the rolls. I anticipate that will continue for years to come. Every 1,000 people we add is nearly $1 million, almost a little more than $1 million that we need to add to our budget every year. It is more volunteers that we need to gather and help us do what we do. Last year we had close to 16,000 volunteers, over 67,000 hours of time. People like Ronnie who visit on a weekly basis, but people who once a year, once a month come out and deliver meals. In Brooklyn alone, there are about 120 volunteers on a monthly basis that we leverage. 148 in addition to that in Brooklyn are doing friendly visiting, what Ronnie does, who connect on a weekly basis with at least one meal recipient and really provide that connection to the outside world, their lifeline, their storyline, their understanding of what's going on outside of their apartments.
Well, I want to get a little bit of what Ronnie's got over there. How does someone get involved and volunteer?
Easy, citymeals.org, citymeals.org, or call us 212-687-1234. Can't be easier than that. And it's simple. You can go and deliver meals for a couple hours once, or you can come on a weekly basis and really change an older person's life. I mean, these are the people who built this city. We would not be here without them.
For those of us who hypothetically don't know how to drive or don't have a car, just hypothetically speaking.
Foot power. Foot power. Meals on Wheels. The majority of our meals are delivered on foot. Here in the outer boroughs even, on foot. Certainly areas of Manhattan
Who are you calling
on
an
foot.
outer borough, Beth?
Sorry, my parents are Brooklyn born. My grandparents were from here. It's in my blood.
And also, if you wanted to visit a senior, you call up and they'll find someone in your neighborhood. There's seniors all over the place, especially if you live near an apartment building. Sooner or later, there's someone who wants some company.
There's one or two of those near me, maybe.
You'd be surprised. Every street, every building, there's a hidden neighbor, an older person who isn't making it out that you don't see in your lobby, who might be right next door.
Okay, we're so completely out of time. Thank you so much for the work that you've been doing, Ronnie. You're awesome. Can you just give us one more time how to get in touch?
Sure,
absolutely.
Citymeals.org, citymeals.org. Hop online, you can volunteer, make a donation. I have to say, 100% of all donations from the general public go to meal preparation and delivery.
That's a big percent.
It's a big number.
100%. How could you not?
The best percent, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
You
Folks, check that out,
to
especially
drive.
with Thanksgiving coming up, and you don't need to drive.